Now here on Kiwi.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
The voice of the creative economy.
With Vincent Heeringa.
Yeah, joining us from NZ Marketing Magazine today with that hat
morning.
on. G'day there, Vincent.
How are you doing?
Good. Talking today about the rise of manvertising.
Manvertising.
Man advertising. We're seeing a lot of it about.
Men have always been a focus of advertising, but there's something a little bit weird going on when Mammoth yogurt is targeted specifically at men, of these kind of over-the-top stereotypical ads.
I've got to say that is the one that sticks on my head the most because it's so damn unusual.
It is, isn't it? Just to remind people what it is, it's about what men can do and what men can't do. And you can't rub sunscreen into your mate's back unless there's sand in it and it hurts.
Yeah.
And you can't. What's the other one? You can't go to the movies together. Well, you can go to the movies together, but you got to put the popcorn in the seat in between.
Yeah. And then it's all about a yogurt that's so thick and so creamy, it's so manly.
It's Mammoth, man.
Yeah.
They're over the top with their kind of masculinity and attract there's always a range of complaints about advertising that goes to the Advertising Standards Authority, and those ones particularly attract they're homophobic, they're anti-gay, they're stereotypical kind of complaints. But that's the whole point, is the kind of over-the-topness of them. And similarly with Spates, man, like natural ads where, you've got these kind of wild beasts living in the bush drinking Spates beer.
And traditionally, beer has been the domain of man advertising, though, hasn't it? I mean, that's the traditional place, but we've seen it branch out to these other weird areas like yogurt.
Yeah, that's right. Beer has always had... It's the one area where women, typically don't need to be, and need to be... Even though actually women do purchase for men, beer is kind of the one area where there's been permission to be this kind of over-the-top, humorous, manly kind of messaging. And the reason that it's shifting, Wammo, is because actually in most other traditional spheres, men are being pushed out of the decision-making tree. So, for instance, it used to be that men, largely speaking, were the deciders on which brand of car to buy. But something like 80% of car purchasing now is either done by women or highly influenced by women.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting, and there's a huge amount of literature written about the rise of women as the kind of the powerhouse of the economy. That's always been true for household products,
Yeah.
And so most TV and newspaper advertising is typically driven by that kind of female household shopper. But at the same time as women are coming into traditional areas like cars and technology, men are actually shifting the other way and becoming part of that household shopper list. And just an interesting stat here that it used to be that 52% of men were household shoppers. Now something like 58% of men are household shoppers.
Right.
And so, things like groceries now have to find a way to attract men as well as women, and hence the Fonterra Mammoth brand. And what's interesting is they started out with a yogurt, but it was so successful that they quite quickly launched an ice cream. And what else did they do? An ice cream and a drink, based on their kind of the discovery that men actually buy things in supermarkets.
At the same time, that's kind of, for me personally, that sort of advertising, or I would imagine, let's say that it's aimed at as it shows in the ad, the guy who works on the building site, The fact, though, that he takes that yogurt to work based on that kind of manly advertising almost seems a little bit wussy as well, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you've got that yogurt that pretends to be manly. It's just...
I know, it's funny, isn't it? Well, Spates is very similar in the way that it tries to be the South Island beer.
Yeah.
But nobody in the South Island drinks it.
Yeah.
It's drunk by Aucklanders who went to Otago Uni and have a kind of a yearning for the South Island man.
So from what you're saying, though, the fact that they've expanded their range, therefore it's obviously working. But I just still can't imagine a man going up to the yogurt section of the supermarket and going, "Oh, I'll choose that one because I'm being told it's manly." I don't know.
I know, but we like to think we're more sophisticated creatures than we are. But advertising exposes all the truths about human behaviour, the truths that we don't want to acknowledge. The guy in this article is from Marketing Magazine has quoted the marketing manager of Lion is quoted as saying the reason stereotypes work is the reason stereotypes are in advertising is because stereotypes actually work. They are really quick hooks into quite basic human behaviours. And so as much as we don't like to acknowledge that we are, kind of visceral, slightly idiotic creatures, advertising exposes that to be not true. And similarly, it goes the other way. At the same time as Spates is going all natural and bearded, Stella Artois is going sophisticated and metrosexual. And exactly the same phenomenon happens. You look at that and you think, look, I'm not some sophisticated urban ponce. But actually, there's probably a little part of me that wants to be sophisticated, urban and ponce and be able to tie a tie properly and appeal to a French woman.
These things are always in cycles, aren't they? So do you think we're seeing the end of the manvertising cycle? I
do think it's a shtick. There's like the man troll. When the government starts doing that, it's probably over. And the land transport ads about man troll probably, to me, signal the end of the trend. But there has been this incredible burst of it. What I hope won't happen is the end of manly humour. Good old-fashioned blokes laughing together. I think that will stay. But this overt, over-the-top manvertising, it's probably limited, and those agencies now that are still working on that, perhaps time to change.
Time to move on. All right, well, check out the article in the latest NZ Marketing Magazine. Vincent Heeringa, thanks very much for your time this morning.